The color of jade of the Jade Sea has to do with its magical properties, but there might be more to this than what we initially thought. Hello everyone, I'm Arali and welcome to today's video where we will take a deeper dive into the mystery of what the color of the jade means regarding magic and the story going forward, and of course, stay tuned for my favorite part at the end of any of these videos, theories. I had teased a discussion about the color of jade in my other video where I talked about all the creatures of the Jade Sea, so if you'd like to watch that as well to be caught up, I will leave a link in the description down below. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and like content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as that helps me out a lot. With all that out of the way, let's get right into it. So, the color of the Jade Sea. In the newest release of Guild Wars 2, called What Lies Beneath, we do get some interesting information on the different colors of the jade, as well as its magical properties. But before we take a look into what this means in terms of Guild Wars 2, let's take a trip back in time about 450 years and talk about the Jade Wind to help us better understand what's going on. The Jade Wind was an explosion of magic that occurred when Shiro Tagachi, who had murdered the Emperor and absorbed his powers, was killed, turning the sea into jade and the forest to stone. None of this is really revelating, but what's interesting is that when we think of the change from liquid to solid of the jade, the most important part seems to be overlooked. The idea that the entire Jade Sea had pretty much become a giant magic container. Wait, why is the entire Jade Sea a giant magic container, you might ask? Well, in the Guild Wars universe, gemstones and crystals are often used in this manner. Many Asura will use crystals in their magitech, Zephyrites use magic-infused crystals to traverse the lands, and even in Guild Wars 1, we hear that extracting magic with a crystal from the bloodstones is the safest way to do so. These are just a few examples of crystals being used to store magic. We can also assume that the color of the jade was originally teal or turquoise, as some might say, because of the ley lines freely flowing through it and charging it with natural unfiltered magic. All of this seems to be unbeknownst to the Luxan people who dwell on the Jade Sea. 200 years later, in Guild Wars 1, the Luxan people who occupy and travel the Jade Sea, and to a smaller extent the Kurzic people, actually mine and use the jade. They use most of the jade to craft weapons and armors and perhaps trinkets and accessories, but none of it seems to be used for its magic properties. I couldn't find any record of the Canthan people using the jade for magical purposes in this era. Perhaps the only magical use for the jade that we see in Guild Wars 1 might perhaps be the Jadeite Summoning Stone, which lets you summon a siege turtle ally. The magic properties of the jade won't truly be discovered until 250 years later by June, who would then transform the entire Canthan culture. 250 years after the events of Guild Wars 2, we, the commander, eventually get to travel to Cantha. Here we discover that June had realized the magical properties of the jade and used it to create a company to invent all sorts of magitech that uses the jade as a power source. It is also when we finally see the color change in the jade. So why did the color change between Game 1 to Game 2? Well, in Dragon's End we can meet an NPC named Hera Sparkblood, who tells us that the color of the jade changed due to Zaitan's death. Apparently, upon his death, some of the magic of Zaitan flowed south from Or through ley lines into the Jade Sea and changed its color to be more of a deep green rather than teal. There's a weird discrepancy of sorts here. She actually says that the spirits remember when the sea was a bluish turquoise. Weirdly enough, Zaitan died only 9 years ago, well within her lifetime and probably most other inhabitants of Cantha, so it's something she should remember as well. Unless she has become senile, which is also a possibility as she appears to be older, so maybe she just forgot. In any case, the color changed at that time, perhaps charging it even more magically. Now recently we were able to travel deep into the Jade Sea and actually witness not just the pure, naturally charged jade in its regular teal color, but also the haze-infused version of it, which has small shadows traveling through it. Gorg in the story talks about the haze-infused version of the jade, saying that it contains close to pure unfiltered magic, almost like the void, but with an added element, which we later find out is demonic in nature, obviously influenced by the demons lurking within the deep, who seem to be charging themselves by consuming leyline magic. So how will this influence the story going forward? Well, it's time to talk about my favorite segment of this video, theories. Now that we know about the Jade and its colors, as well as what this could mean magically, how does the haze-infused version influence the story going forward? Well, for one, I could potentially see the haze-infused version be used against the commander and their friends. We have already seen the negative effect of haze, but if the haze-infused Jade can be used in Jade technology, it could theoretically be weaponized against us. The added element is demonic as far as we know, and as I have stated in the video about the creatures of the Jade Sea, we know the haze behaves similar to the way that Kanaxai used to corrupt the Luxan people and transform them into Oni, essentially adding more soldiers to his nightmare horde. But we also know that the effect of haze is mostly contained to the mines within the Jade Sea, so it's not a super widespread effect. Now, what if the haze-charged Jade is transported somewhere else and can still afflict people with the same effect? That would mean that Kanaxai, or whoever the demon behind all of this is, could be widening the spread of corruption so much more, creating a real problem for the Canthan people. Will the commander have to face off against haze-corrupted Jade bots and other technology? Or have we already defeated the threat by taking over the Deep and Gyala Delve? We will have to wait and see and find out for ourselves. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Arali, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, follow me over on Twitch for some random gaming and discussion, and I will see you all later. Bye guys!